let us discuss now. Let us get to the focal point of tonight's conversation. The Big Racket, our second venture into the Italian crime wave films, also starring our good friend Fabio Testi. Like I'm digging this dude. Like there's a lot of things that I noticed about him in this particular movie that I'll get into. But I'm like I enjoyed the first movie that we watched, The Contraband. Like I
Oh yeah.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. But there were things that I noticed about him in this one where I'm just like, oh. I'm like, oh. Like I might have to raise my hand and testify on Testy. A Testy testify.
I noticed the Wednesday watch in the scene when they go into the bar. You know, he's got the turtleneck with the smoking jacket on and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's an Italian Steve McQueen because he's the anti-hero,
Yeah.
just not blonde.
Well, what was funny is during the intro, I was laughing. I made the joke because in the intro with the motorcycles and stuff, and like a couple of them wearing like the catcher masks and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like I made the joke. I'm like, oh, they must have watched Akira for the first time, and I was like, that's cute. But that intro was so fucking awesome though, especially because there's the moment where the dude comes in and he like breaks the fucking door window, and like that's when the music kicks in. It's
Yeah.
like perfectly timed, and then it does that whole fucking thing. The music was, I'm like, this is actually kind of cowboy bebop-ish a little bit right there. And then there's an animated series. It's an old school one. I don't know a whole lot about it, like character wise or story wise, but I know that it exists. I have a very, very loose understanding of the general idea, and I know the art style of it. But uh Testy, especially in this movie, I was getting a lot of Lupin the Third vibes off of him in this one.
No shit.
Like I'm sitting here thinking it's a crime that he didn't get to play Lupin in a movie.
What if he did the Italian dub of one of the Lupin movies? Because I haven't watched a lot of it, but I'm glad you brought it up because I am a fan of Lupin the Third. But
Yeah.
damn, he really does. Okay, he's a little bit more built than Lupin
Yeah,
though. He does.
yeah.
He's not lanky. He's a man.
But with the hair and the wardrobe that he was rocking in this movie, like, I'm like, I could see it. I could see it.
I could see Lupin doing the jean jacket with the mesh shirt under it. That was a cool look, and I'm bringing it back this fall.
So this movie to me had a lot of great things. There was a lot of things that I thought were way better than Contraband, but there were a few things that kind of took away that, like, even though it took away, it did not take away from yo, Link Log, what up?
Hello.
I don't remember. I would imagine they usually have a couple different language options on that. I remember that they did do a live action one though, but I think they used like a black dude or something like that, which again, totally fine. But I was just like, I think that that's the one that you're talking about.
Maybe I can't remember either.
I vaguely remember there being like a live action one. I think it was a Netflix thing. But I got the gist of the story. There's a lot of story that I just again, I would have to watch it multiple times. But everything that I got was good enough to where I was enjoying this is a movie where I'm like, you could do this while you could have this on and not really pay attention to it and still have a fucking blast. And that sounds like a disservice to the movie, but it's really a compliment. I mean it in a complimentary way.
I think too, because at any point you kind of pick up the story with it, because the movie start is simple. New racket moves into town, breaks a bunch of shit so they can collect money from people. Okay, there we go. Fabio Testi as Nico is a cop, and he's going after him. All right, that's your story.
Let's see what Contraband. We talked about Contraband last week. Which what was it? 76, I
76 or
think it was
77, yeah.
something like that. But the Italian one with Fabio Testi, which this movie, The Big Racket, stars Fabio Testi as well. But from
1980.
oh shit, okay. For some reason I thought 76.
That's this one.
Oh, okay, there we go. Um, I got the idea that okay, so Testy was like he was law enforcement, right? He was like a investigator or something.
Yes, he was specifically with the carbonieri, which is not an Italian food dish.
Okay. So he's like the law dude. All right. And then we got Wahlberg. Oh, that's right. I did see that there was a Wahlberg one. That was like
Yeah,
2000.
they rob
That
an
makes
armored car.
sense. um but like okay, so we got him, and then I understand that we got these group of these criminals, this fucking Clockwork Orange band of people. Which to me, the one dude, there's one goofy dude. Like he was the one that when they were beating up the dude in the restaurant, he was like listing them off like they were menu items.
Oh yeah, that's Freddie Mercury from 1990 Bronx Warriors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He was great. He was hilarious to me in the whole movie. I'm like, this guy's like he's the comedic bad guy. Um then we had the woman, which I liked that they had a woman character, and I liked that she wasn't like overly prissy, and I liked that she wasn't overly masculine. But I felt like you still could have done something a little more with her, but I like what they did enough with her.
they may definitely they all right. They may have watched Last House on the Left before this because that's the exact same crook setup.
um and then there was the dude that reminded me, I'm like, is he from one of the cannibal movies? And when you met, I was thinking, yeah, the dude that I think it was Holocaust. It was the one where he was the one guy that was in the just the water, like getting cleaned up by himself at first. And then I think he went after a woman.
He's the one that gets his wang doodle knocked off.
Yeah. But that guy, he was a piece of shit.
He's a big piece of shit.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit. Yeah, we read about, yeah, we read about or heard about that.
We may have made a joke about it earlier.
Yeah. Not if they're doing it in a non-serious manner, I'll at least reserve judgment until I see it. But kind of one of those things where you probably should just leave it alone.
Don't do Roadhouse meets Drive, please.
But so they're like pretty much our main bad guys, pretty much from what I got. These group of renegade, just fucking Clockwork Orange style, fucking Three from Hell, fucking or the Devil Reject style.
Firefly family.
Yeah, going on.
That's Rudy's people. Rudy
Yeah.
is the main bad guy.
Now, what I liked that they did, and I thought it was an interesting setup, is as the movie goes on, it's not so much that you're seeing different scenes of these people doing fucked up shit. Because when I make the reference to Clockwork Orange, they full on Clockwork Orange shit up. And there's always a surviving victim of whatever scenario they've been attached to. And as the movie goes along, whatever that surviving victim is, it's like that person joins the party.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, that's kind of neat, like that's a simple yet interesting factor to this movie.
Italian RPG crime.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that. What I dig about it, it would be like The Godfather. It would have to be Godfather length if this movie was done the proper way, but I think this way is the proper way. Um, where you have to have those traumatic events set up in such a way that it intertwines and isn't just, hey, heard they burned your business down and killed your daughter. You want to join up and kill him? Not to say that this one goes down the on the nose route like that either, because they do set it up in a clever way, and I applaud Enzo Castellari for that. But to do that way, I mean, you would have to have like 3 hours. You would have to set up, because we would have to care about the characters. But the way that they do it in this one, you do care about the characters because the fucked up shit is very fucked up.
They did the fast forward version, but it worked.
Yeah.
um. Now, the one dude. Let's try to go down all the people that get recruited here, because we get the restaurant dude. I think he was the first dude to get fucked with.
Yep.
And potentially has like the most brutalist shit happen to him, to where like his characteristic, like his big personality of the movie is that he's just fucking checked out. Like he's just bloodlust revenge, and he's gone bye-bye.
When they meet him at the prison at the end, he's made a shank and he's talking about how it feels to cut somebody's throat. This guy was very straight on the law 20 minutes prior to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because he ends up being the wild card, because they're like we obviously need this guy, but at the same time they're like, is he gonna do this right? Like, can we count on him to get the job done? And now, like I said, we had two relatively forced encounter moments in this movie, which, like you kind of said, you're like, well, that's kind of part of the genre.
Kind of a staple of it, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the first victim was this restaurant dude's daughter, which, if I understood the order of events correctly, because that was one of my flaws for the movie, was there were a few edits, jump cuts, to where I'm like, I feel like we missed story somewhere. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, did I miss them kidnapping the daughter? Because I'm like, or did they like just like grab her on their way out from setting the place on fire? Or like what happened here? Because all of a sudden, bam, she's just in the car.
They used to shed light on that. They used the dad being forced to go to the police station as a jumping off point for that, because they said if you go to the cops.
Yeah. I figured that's what it was about, but it was just cut in such a way where I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, the one asshole dude forces himself on the daughter, and it was pretty. It was. I mean, okay. Everybody who's watched this show before knows how I am about two particular things: forced encounter scenes and anything happening to kids. We kind of got a double whammy in this situation. Thankfully, she's young, but not. It's not. She's at least double digit age, right? You know, like I'm not trying to justify it, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And that it's a totally different movie if it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did it. They to convey the story point that they had to convey, because remember, this is a reflection on what the fuck was going on in Italy at the time. They did it in I think the most tasteful way that they could for something as tasteless as that.
And one of the big things though is that, yeah, so like I said, it wasn't as bad to watch because it wasn't graphic in any way, real way. I think what the other scene with the adult was a little bit more graphic than what happened here. But I understood the motivation of the scene. Like, it wasn't like, and then this happens for some reason. Like,
yeah.
There was a reason why it happens, and there's like a reason, you know, it moves the story along. And thankfully, because at one point I thought that the dude that does that to her got killed like halfway through the movie. And then I saw him again and I was just like, oh no. And then I'm like, the only real true cardinal sin was be having a character that does that, but then they don't get their comeuppance by the end. That's a cardinal sin of a movie right
Right.
there. Thankfully, they did not commit that sin. So we have the restaurant owner in that situation, and he's just fucking whack job, understandably so. Um, we have the weird robber guy that reminded me of the Russian dude from Goldeneye,
Yep.
and he's got like what was it, his nephew or some shit like that that helps him out.
Yeah, the nephew that Nico let out of jail. He was like, "Get out of here, you little scamp."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This dude is hilarious. He just seems like a goofy, polite robber.
Super polite.
Super polite. You know, it's like, excuse me, would you mind inputting your register into my bag?
Well, that's what he was with the lady in the beauty salon. He was like, "Oh, that is a lovely ring, thank you."
Yep. So I dug that. I dug that a lot. Um, and then let's see here. Who was the older dude? The one that was in the vent in the big battle at the end the whole time.
That was the guy who ran the original Racket that Rudy's crew ran out.
Oh, okay. So he's there for principality, I guess.
Yeah, he was in fucking prison, and then Nico was like, "I got you a fresh passport if you will come wax these fools."
Mhm. Um, the main things that I liked about this whole movie is that the fight scenes are fucking great, and they have it's the full on loud reverb like fucking hits, you know, when it sounds like five hits in one. um,
And you feel it
and you feel
because
it,
of that.
and they were very well choreographed. There were a lot of like there's a scene where he's fighting some guy who's like halfway in out of like getting out of a car, and the window's rolled down, so he's not punching through the window, but he utilizes that space and punches through the down window area of the car to like hit the like. I'm like, it is a stupid, probably spur of the moment decision, but it worked.
Yeah.
um and just a lot of cool choreographed fights. Um, for some reason, like I said, the one guy got jump kicked by a guy wearing bell bottoms, and I'm like, that's just a fucking cap on the day. You get jump kicked by a dude in bell bottoms.
That was second forced encounter guy. Oh God.
um, but the music was amazing. The only I noticed there weren't really any boats in this one, but I mean I understand you can't have boats in every movie. But you should.
They weren't in
Um,
a coastal town. That was the problem.
they substituted it though. There was a lot of car action, and I dug it. I dug it. Let me see here. What else did I fucking write down? Goofy Akira intro check. Music when the window smashed check. Lupin Bebop check. The menu fight. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is another thing that this movie had that I thought was adorable, and I love it when movies fucking do this. I like it when they're driving and the what you're seeing out of the sides of the window is normal, straight, concise driving. But when the actor is in the
The pantomime's awful.
just turning, I'm like, dude, you're going like 180 degrees right now, but
They didn't have power steering. That was how you had to do it, man.
yeah. The pretending to drive was ridiculous to the best point.
It made you feel really part of the scene.
There was one guy when he was driving, it was like a little kid. He might as well just took it and just spun the whole fucking thing. Um, but that reminded me too, in the beginning, when Testy's in that car accident, well, not really a car accident, they fucking flipped the car over.
It was
But
attempted homicide, I believe.
yeah. No accident about it. But for some reason, I really liked how that was like, or at least how it looked. I would be interested to see a full-on description of how that scene was constructed when the car's rolling over and he's inside. It kind of goes slow-mo. I liked the way that it looked like everything was rolling in the car and falling with him. the glass falling everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how did you not get glass in your mouth? Unless they're just dropping it literally in front of the camera as they're filming it.
I I just assumed they had like a bag of shit and they just
Throwing
threw it when they
everything.
rotated it again.
But I really, really liked how they did that. I would be interested to see how that scene came about. Um, yeah. When the music wasn't like bebop style, I'm like, this is like Adult Swim between commercials, fucking music. This is fucking great. Um, all in all, though, it was great. The woman gangster. Well, I use the term gangster lightly, but she was interesting. Like I said, she wasn't too prissy. She wasn't too masculine, but she was like totally like she's like, you need to bang me. All right, just get it over with.
Oh, that was just a hooker.
Oh, that was just a hooker. That wasn't her. I
No,
thought that was her.
that was the distraction they used to get into the factory at the end so they could set up shop.
Oh, why'd you hire a hooker? I mean, that's kind of like her wheelhouse.
Because she wouldn't want them in there because she
Oh.
was a bad guy. That was the good guy crew, the Magnificent Seven rolling in, not
That's right.
not Rudy and his people.
I liked her showdown though at the end. Well, oh, that was another guy that we forgot to bring up. A brace dude with the
Brace
fucking the dude in the neck brace and the chest brace with the armor.
Yes, because treated steel would have reflected those bullets.
I'm sitting here wondering, would there be a situation where a bullet could have hit that and then just gone up into like under his?
So, in the gun tube world, and my general curiosity, there's a reason why you don't recommend steel-plated body armor to your friends. The bullet itself probably won't ricochet; it'll actually stop in your plate. But there's something called spalling, and that's when the copper jacket of that bullet and the bits of steel on the plate and the lead core within the bullet all break apart, and they have to find somewhere to go. And they tend to go up because of how your plates are aligned. So if you get shot in the chest and you're wearing a steel plate, there's a very, very good chance that the spalling's going to go right up. And
Bad day.
it's a bad day. Depending on how big the bullet is, some of the bullets probably stop in your chin, but either way, you probably don't want lead in your chin.
Yeah. But I thought that was I liked their little showdown. I thought that was funny, where she just fucking unloads, and does all the chest shots, not a single headshot, but just blasts away, and then he laughs, and then just fucking unloads on her. That was fucking great. That was an Indiana Jones whip gun moment right there.
Yep.
Now, there was a moment in this film that I was like, this is a tactical scene here that I'm ill-equipped to understand. So, what exactly? There was the scene with Testy there where he was doing something to some bullets, and I'm curious as to what it was that he was doing.
After we get done talking about this, we do have to talk about Shotgun Guy because
Oh yes,
he does have a cool moment himself. However, let's talk. So this is also a theme in Polizio Teshi movies, the Dum Dum round. Dum Dum is just a fancy or a classic term actually for a hollow point. So,
okay.
ahem, I have some points of reference here. I'm going to provide for y'all. So,
Don't do this at home.
so regular bullet. It's like this one has a flat tip. So hollow point is just that. It's light's not very good in here. It's basically cut out at the top. So when the bullet impacts, if it's a hollow point, it will expand and cause more internal damage. Also send bits of bullet going everywhere. Now, they didn't always manufacture hollow points, or some people couldn't get them. It's like I said, it's a point in Polizio Teshi movies. The cops turn out to be using them, or somebody does, and they get in trouble for it. What he was doing was creating super dum-dum rounds. So he capped off the top of the bullet. Looked like he put another piece of metal under it, and then he did a very crude seal on it. So when the bullet starts spinning out of the barrel, that piece is going to go off, and when it hits the person's tissue, it's going to go two different directions. So something about a third of an inch will be going two different directions on your insides. And what it'll do is it'll maximize the tissue damage, kill you faster, basically. If they don't hit you in a vital organ, they could split your femoral artery or something like that, and then you're going to have a very bad day. So what he was doing, though, with the extra piece, I think has to do with the explosive ending, because I think it was flint, and he was using it to spark the gas tanks because dude entered God mode at the end of the freaking movie.
Didn't you say that that's technically a war crime, what he did?
The use of dum-dum rounds or expanding ammunition is in the Geneva Convention. You cannot do it during war. Unless the nation you're fighting doesn't abide by the Geneva Conventions, and then there's some gray area on that, but I'm not going to talk war crimes tonight.
Yeah, no, that's a whole nother show.
We'll save that for the Rambo episode.
Yeah, yeah. So all in all, though, I liked it. The ending. Now, explain this to me, because at first, the ending where the thing that was upsetting, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It kind of has to go this way. Is we have this long, big, epic battle at the end, and pretty much everybody on every side is going down, and you're kind of like, what a fucking dick Testy's being, like, recruiting all of these like people, like these emotionally compromised people in this situation, and he's just marching them to their death, and he's just going to be like, I served justice.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah. A real Starship Trooper. But you get to the end, and he said he goes into God mode, and he shoots 3 times, and every bullet blows up a separate car. He shoots 3 times, blows up 3 different cars. He just hits that perfect spot each time. Now, in my mind, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. But apparently you said mechanically that there is justification for this as well.
There is potential for one of two things. Ford got in trouble in the 70s with the Pinto because the Pinto used a flint bumper. So if you got into just a regular old rear end fender bender, you potentially could have committed manslaughter because the fucking car would set on fire. Allegedly. Not really allegedly, it's on the books. On the other hand, when he hollowed out those bullets, if he put a piece of flint or something in there that would spark, because movies lie to you a lot, and just shooting a gas tank isn't necessarily going to spark anything. Because sometimes even getting a spark to come off of a bullet hitting something's difficult. So if he put something that potentially could do that, which could be flint, because if flint breaks apart in your body, doubles as a good hollow point too. The more you know. I just want to go on record and say one thing regarding terms of service. I am not telling you how to make ammunition of any kind, so please don't ban us.
Yes.
For legal reasons.
You're talking about the likelihood of making a spark like that happen. I was just imagining that scene of John Leguizamo and Romeo and Juliet at the gas station. It's just... If only Testy would have done that at the end.
I think he had a fair reaction, all things considered, but it would have made it better.
But I bring it up though just because I liked the ending though, because I was like, he blows up the cars and he's there. He realizes that it was kind of like, I mean, everything's over, but it wasn't necessarily like a resounding success on how things were done. And I like it. You see, like, the last scene is him still on the dock and that everything's on fire and he's pissed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at first you're like, well, that was an abrupt ending, but then you sit there and you're like, no, this is exactly where it needs to end.
Yep. Because I don't need to see him getting arrested by the cops. Precisely because it didn't go the way as planned and everybody died. Although it was very apparent there at the end that the dad had no intention of leaving that building alive. You tie up a lot of loose ends by leaving it open ended like that, and I applaud them for that. And Fabio getting all pissed about it, that was Kino.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if it was, I think we were saying before we started the show that if he did use flint in those bullets and like planned that with those cars, then it was the perfect combination of MacGyver and John McClane. And it's just like that could have been that guy's shtick. You know, now I know that we still got a few. Are the rest of the movies we watched also got testy in them?
We got one more,
Okay.
and it's full of testy.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, this guy has like John McClane, fucking Rambo, fucking. He's got that status. You know what I mean? Like he's got it, but not officially. And I think that that's a shame because I'm like, this dude's fucking. This is the dude right here.
This is our Italian go-to guy besides Bobby Rhodes.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you. I would love a Bobby Rhodes and Fabio Testi team up movie modeled in the style of Rush Hour. I mean, I understand a lot of the humor is the fact that it's Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, but like, so you don't have to go with that precise humor, but just like that dynamic.
Yeah. Hell, I would settle for Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, yeah. But just have like a fucking action packed fucking yeah. That should have happened. I'm a little bummed that didn't happen.
I'm gonna double check the Testy filmography and see what I can find because there's got to be something like that in there. I know they had to work together at one point because they both did movies, I think, by Antonio Margheriti, so it's possible.
It is possible. But sir, the end of the day, what kind of score are you giving this?
Go ahead and throw another 4 in the bag. I don't know if I necessarily like it as much as Contraband because Contraband had a really I don't know. I like Lucio Fulci's filming style a little bit. The experience of this movie overall is more enjoyable, I think. But there, man, that's our Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And everything that happens in here, it didn't lull too much. We got enough story to keep us fed till the action brings us back up. I mean, I don't know. I think this one's an easy 4. I would recommend this the same way I would recommend Contraband. Have a night of it. Have 2 testes in one night.
A 2 testy night. I really what I liked about this movie was really, really good. Like there were parts of this that I liked more than Contraband. The few things that I didn't like about this, they're noticeable detractions, but not enough to make me dislike the movie in any real way. They're just like small, petty things where it's like the cars were really cool, but I liked the boats better. You know what I mean? It's like it was the same film grain kind of quality, but I liked the color palette better in Contraband. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the color palette was better in Contraband.
Yeah, like I don't know
those yellows and greens and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. But I liked the fighting better in this. I kind of like the outfits better in this too. I don't really normally comment on costume, but if you have to compare them, the jump cuts fucked with me. Like that was the main thing where it was like both this and Contraband, I'm like, these require more viewings to fully grasp the story. I feel that because of the way that they did things in this one, that I would probably understand Contraband before I ever understood this one. Um, but this is a very good movie. I would definitely rewatch it, no problem. But like, even though it had some better qualities than Contraband, I'm just gonna go just a smidgen below Contraband and do the 3.5. Still a quality film.
You know what? It's like that post hangover meal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really matter which one you pick, but you know you're gonna be satisfied with them.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
I realize something though. We can call the three movies that we do the Sea, Land, and Air trilogy, the SEAL trilogy, because you're right. Contraband was boats, water smuggling. This one was land smuggling. The next movie's air smuggling.
Nice. Nice. I like it.
So
I like it.
when you need a land movie of the crime variety, we're going to throw in the Big Racket.
Yeah.
You need sea, Contraband's right there ready to go. Oh, you want to go by air? The Heroin Busters, because it takes place in like 3 different cities.
Nice.
Boom.
Well, that's a handy dandy triple feature if I've ever seen.
Damn. I had that stunning realization there. I was like, wait a minute. These all have different points of smuggling. Holy shit.